Welcome to our first ever podcast called Meet Me in Tennessee. I'm Sabrina Morton. The purpose of this podcast is to get you familiar with Northeast Tennessee. I'll be interviewing people from our area who know about resources, food, hiking, biking, drinking, and all sorts of other fun things. Our first guest today is Mark Stevens. Mark works with the 1st Tennessee Development District. Hello, Mark.
Morning, Sabrina.
How are you doing?
Wonderful.
Good.
I'm glad I'm your first guest because I can set the bar so low.
It's only up from here.
Oh,
That's what I thought.
Knowledge, resources, I got nothing. This is a really good intro into where this is going.
Well, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you're rock bottom. So tell us first what you do at, give us your job title and tell us a little about what you do at 1st Tennessee Development District.
Well, I am the Director of Communications and Special Projects at the 1st Tennessee Development District. And for those of you that don't know, the FTDD is our region's Association of County and City Governments. And my job is to do whatever no one else wants to do. That's what special projects means. And then tell people about it, which is the communication component.
Which also no one wants to.
No, yeah. It's always, it's a grab bag. But we have several departments. They're all managed by a great team of directors. I do what no one else does. And I love it. And it's a lot of fun. And I hope the word doesn't get out because, I'd hate for someone to figure out that I'm enjoying it a little too much, but it's a really great organization, and I really enjoy what I do there. So
that's awesome. Okay, can you tell us a little about services provided by the district? I did not know it existed until I started working in the same building as you. I don't work for the district, but started working there and did not know all these services existed in our community. So if you could tell us kind of what services are offered there.
Well, we do everything. I mean, really, it's a pretty interesting place. And what you just said, I didn't know it existed until I walked into the building, is very, very common and really reflects my quality as a communications director. Again, we can only go up from here. But most people, I think actually most people in the region are aware of something that we do or some program or some aspect of the district, but very few are aware it's one organization. So we do primarily economic and community development, which is grant writing and grant administration for our region's governments. That's what we're known for. We also have a housing department that provides housing services or even rebuild programs for either low-income families or seniors in our region. We do local land use planning for many of our cities and some of our counties, which helps determine what goes where when you're building a new Wendy's or a doctor's office wants to locate or something big like a housing development. We do actually provide those services as well. And we provide workforce development services through some events called Career Quest. Listeners may have been familiar with or even attended something called Career Quest, all about business, or the Big Career Quest, which brings about 5,000 students to the mini dome at ETSU. And we are also the Area Agency on Aging and Disability, which is designed to provide services for our region's senior population and any adult with disabilities. And a new addition, as of July 1, we provide all WIOA services. So Workforce Investment Opportunity Act dollars now flow through the Development District to provide either job training or funding for America's Job Centers, which are throughout the region. That is very, very new to us, but that is something that the district now does as well. So when I say we do everything, I'm only 75% joking because we literally do a lot. So it's a really great organization. And to be honest, what we do now may look different 5 years from now, depending on the needs of the region. We're very responsive to that. So
it sounds like you really cover all age groups too with what you do.
Yes. I mean, we are designed to serve the region where it is right now, but also where we're going in a few years with our aging population, where our gaps are in workforce development, how that impacts or transacts with like our high school freshmen. I mean, it's all kind of flows through the development district. So we are a very well-kept secret.
You really are.
If we found a better communications director, more people probably would know about that. But
You're not going to have a job when you get back.
no, this is it. This is my farewell tour. I really appreciate being here.
I do. I know a little about Career Quests because I'm actually helping with one of those now. You all are doing one for hospitality and
Tourism.
Mm-hmm. So, which is the area I work in. So we are helping out with that, and I'm looking forward to getting in there and seeing what kind of questions these kids
What are you
have.
doing with Career Quest Hospitality?
We are setting up, we're going to have it just like the other Career Quests.
Okay, the one focused on business.
Yes,
and the one,
but it's
the
just
big
going to
one.
be, this one's just going to be focused on tourism and hospitality.
And what are you specifically going to do? Because I'm curious where the weak spots are going to be.
I've not been assigned yet.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
I'm just wherever they're like, okay, I guess she can.
Yeah.
Let's try Sabrina at this. I don't know what else to do.
That's exciting because Northeast Tennessee Tourism, or NETA, is a valuable partner for the district, and it's a valuable asset to the region. But tourism is a huge piece of our economy, and the realization of that, seeing that come to fruition through something like Career Quest Hospitality and an understanding with our local elected officials is really reflects NETA's strength and growth over the last few years.
I agree. And I will say something about NETA now. They are the sponsor of this program. It's Northeast Tennessee Tourism Association, and they are a tourism entity who help the 8 counties of Upper East North Tennessee. So we are there to help everybody increase their tourism, which leads to dollars. Tourism is money. Tourism is dollars. And so
It's free money.
It's
actually.
free money.
That's true. That's technically true.
That's
it's free.
right.
It's other people's money we get to play with.
Exactly. And then they leave. So it's
Yeah.
great. That's what we want. So you want
That's the best
to, we want to support our tourism entities because it is, like Mark said, it's free money, and it's money that just they drop and then they leave. So it's the good kind of money you want. And we thank them for sponsoring this podcast. And you should go to their website too. It's northeasttennessee.org, and it's all spelled out, Northeast Tennessee, all
Yes,
words.
It's very long.
It's
but
very
if you
long.
can spell Tennessee, you can get there.
You can. Yeah, you can. I think you can do it. Okay. So let me go back just quickly to, I know you have the Office of Aging and, what is it? You said disability, aging and...
The Area Agency on Aging and Disability.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm bringing this up just because recently I've talked to a lot of people who I feel like could use that as a resource, and they're not familiar with it. So
Right.
Can you tell me a little about what they do?
Okay. So
specifically.
the Area Agency on Aging is something that was created by the Older Americans Act, which was enacted in, I think, 1965. So that legislation created these agencies across the country. There's really not a part of the United States that's not covered by an area agency of some. They may be called something different, but that's what they are. And ours is the First Tennessee Area Agency on Aging and Disability. It is, and this is not bragging. This is absolutely factual. So check it out. It is literally the best one in Tennessee, and very likely the very best one in the southeastern United States. And I know that because of the way that they're audited and the reporting that they're required to do. So they are the door that you would walk through to get access to services like home delivered meals, which is Meals on Wheels. Caretaker services. So if you are providing services for a parent and you need a reprieve to go shopping or get your hair done or run errands, they can help provide that, fill in that gap for you to go do that through caretakers that come in your place. They provide a caretaker training, or support group. So if we have a disproportionate size of the population that's suffering from cancer and they're being cared for by their children, they actually will network those people together so they can, learn best practices and kind of figure out what's going on. Very recently, we launched something called My Ride, which is an exciting program. It's a door-through-door ride-sharing program where volunteers literally take seniors from their front door into wherever they're going, whether that's the doctor, the grocery store, whatever kind of errands they need to run, and then return them home. And it's volunteer-based. And this speaks, I think, to the quality or the character of people in Northeast Tennessee. It's actually designed so that those volunteers are reimbursed for mileage. Almost no one has ever claimed mileage.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the quality of the people that we have here. So They do some other things with 10 Care. So if you qualified for 10 Care, they are the conduit by which you apply as a senior. The same for an adult with disabilities, but it is access through calling their phone number, which I have to admit I do not know off the top of my head.
Again, they have a website?
They do. It's FTDD or FTAAAD.org.
Okay.
You can access it from the district's website, which is FTDD.org. But that is really the doorway you'd walk through, and you're screened for what services you qualify for by some very talented folks that work in the building, and then you go into whatever services are provided or needed, or you can have. So it's different for everybody, but for our population, it's a pretty important piece because we also have an aging population here in the region.
Yes.
So.
Yes. Okay. That's all good information. Hope you guys can use that. Let's ask Mark, are there any unusual or funny stories you can tell that have happened during your career? And I know your career has spanned, you have not always just been in our region. You've been
in DC and
yeah. So
I really had to think about this because to protect the guilty, I really had to dig into my past to a story where everyone involved has either left office. Because fun fact, I've only ever worked for elected officials, so I've never had a job where I did not report to an elected official. So that's always fun. So the only thing I could really think of that might be of interest involves, unfortunately, a United States senator who's since passed away, but who was a really impressive guy. I can't tell anything more recent than that because
you want people to still like you.
Well, not only that, I mean, they're my bosses now,
right.
So I can't talk about them. Maybe when they leave office. But have you ever heard of Daniel Inouye? I
don't believe so.
Okay. Daniel Inouye was, I think, the second senator from Hawaii. So I think he took office in 1963. He served until he passed away in 2012. He was a very unassuming looking Japanese American born in Hawaii, which at the time was not a state. As a teenager, he actually witnessed Pearl Harbor. He was in line of sight of the bombings of Pearl Harbor. As a Japanese American, unfortunately, he was deemed to be too dangerous to serve. So for the first few years of the World War II, he actually couldn't, though he wanted to volunteer, he could not serve in the armed forces. So he went to school, and eventually, I think in 1943, FDR created the 442nd Regimental Combat Team. And if no one's ever heard of that, which you have not, it is the most decorated military unit in American history. And it was comprised mostly of Japanese, and then to a broader extent, certain other Asian American groups, but Japanese Americans and Asian Americans. And it was always sent to the absolute worst places in World War II, in the mid to early theaters of war in World War II. And Daniel Inouye was part of that regimental combat team. To say he was an American hero is almost an understatement. And during an attack on a German machine gun nest in Italy, his unit was pinned down. He, I think a lieutenant, ran forward to take out the machine gunner while they were reloading. So no firing was happening. One of the German soldiers got a shot off at Daniel Inouye. It hit him in the abdomen. It caused the muscle in his arm, which held a grenade that he'd already pulled the pin on, to seize, so he couldn't let go of it, and it exploded. And it severed his arm in the middle of this whole experience. His men started to run towards him. He shouted back at them somehow, to stay undercover. And he got up, picked up another grenade, tossed it, and took out the machine gun nest single-handedly and saved I don't know how many men's lives, all after losing his arm.
That's amazing.
It took until 2000 for his exploits in World War II to be recognized, and he was finally presented with a Medal of Honor by then President Clinton. He then goes back to Hawaii, finishes school, meets his wife, has children, runs for office, becomes one of the most prominent senators in Washington, D.C., but he only has one arm. Mm-hmm. He eventually rises to the position of president pro tem. And for anyone who knows anything about politics, that is almost the most useless position in government. It is really an honorific. Mm-hmm. And the oldest living senator, which is really saying something at this time in our country, the oldest living senator of the party with control of the Senate becomes president pro tem. And your job is really to perform the function of the Senate. You don't do that because it's boring and no one wants to do it. Mm-hmm. So when I moved to D.C. and worked on the Hill, we did many events on the Hill and around in hotels right around the Capitol to fundraise, and we interacted with a lot of senators and their staff and congressmen and their staff. And one of our most frequent attendees to events was Senator Daniel Inouye, and by this point he's Senate pro tem president. He's probably 153 years old at this point. He's maybe 5'3", so he's very, very small. And when he walks into a room, as you can imagine, being a hero, being one of the longest serving senators in history, the focus of the room just goes to him, even though he's slight and unassuming. He never had his suits altered to reflect that he only had one arm, and it was his right arm that he lost. So his loose sleeve would always dangle. Mm-hmm. As he walked. And I cannot tell you the number of times I watched people who should have known better walk up to him and try to grab his right hand and shake it, and it's not there. And then the embarrassment wash over their face. Yeah. And he would say the exact same thing. He would shoot up with his other hand and make a gun and go, "Gotcha." And
I was going to ask if he did it on purpose.
He did it every time. Absolutely. Was on purpose. He enjoyed it immensely. And so you have this man who did all these amazing things, served his country, was a hero, saved who knows how many lives, who spent his seniority in the Senate pulling what is perhaps one of the most childish gags you can imagine.
That's awesome.
Yeah, utilizing. Yeah, he was an interesting guy. And when you are president pro tem, you actually travel with a security detail. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, he's surrounded by armed, well-trained guards all the time as well. So it's just a really interesting thing to watch happen as the focal point of the room, a hero, Medal of Honor recipient, playing a very childish gag over and over again on people, and on people who probably who should have, if they thought it through, know he lost his arm in World War II. Like,
so what am I doing?
What am I doing? That has to be honestly one of the funniest things I've ever seen happen on a routine basis. I mean, it wasn't just once. Yes. It didn't happen regularly at one fundraiser or at one event. I mean, it happened every single time we saw him. And I just always wondered, and I would have been mortified. And you can tell, I mean, that was actually the worst part, is the people that this happened to were like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed." And he was like, he simply did not care. He thought it was the funniest thing.
That was the point.
Yeah.
Great. That's a great story.
Yeah. It's, the best thing about it is it's somebody you maybe wouldn't be able to relate to, but you find, he was just some dude who, all these amazing things happen to, or horrible things sometimes, but he just kept it going and was a very, very serious practical joker. So
that's amazing.
I aspire to that someday if I were ever like Daniel Inouye and have that sense of humor.
You have a pretty good sense of humor, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. Some kind of trauma occurs to you to make you even funnier one day.
Fingers crossed, right?
Yeah. If you weren't doing what you do now as your career, what would you want to be doing?
That's a really good question. I'm so underqualified for what I'm doing now. I shudder to think what I might be doing. Dog walker, car wash.
I have jobs for you.
Okay.
See, that happens.
I have to admit, there was a little period of time when I considered going to law school. That would have probably been helpful. But to be perfectly honest, probably be right where I am now, never having practiced law, having gone to law school. So, I did also consider, and this is funny because it comes up every few years, going into the Foreign Service, though I probably would have offended our strongest allies in almost no time whatsoever. But we, on occasion, have foreign either elected officials or sometimes just experts in other fields visit the region. And we just had a group here from Laos and Myanmar, and interacting with people from other cultures and showing them what we do really well here in Northeast Tennessee, like agriculture or aquaculture, or even growing grapes and making wine up in Johnson County. I mean, that's always a lot of fun. And so that when we have a foreign group here, and we've had some folks from Ukraine in the past, and the district's hosted folks from Yemen at periods in the past as well, it kind of highlights an opportunity lost, wistfully thinking about what could have been. But I have to remind myself that's really talking about our region and promoting what's best about us to groups that aren't from here versus promoting. Yeah, I mean, it's a different thing, but I do think about that on occasion. And a little tear comes to my eye.
And then you go to one of our local wonderful restaurants and you just forget about it. Right?
Oh, everything,
like,
yeah.
I'm supposed to just be here.
Butter and salt.
Yeah,
It just washes all that regret away. Yeah.
What is your favorite? Do you have a favorite like local dining spot anywhere in the region?
Are you familiar with Whistle Stop in Tusculum?
I'm not.
Okay.
I probably should be.
Right across from Tusculum College, or Tusculum University now, is a small restaurant called Whistle Stop, run by a woman named Cheryl. And I think everybody that works there is either her children or grandchildren. Mm. I hope they are, because of the loving way she talks to them. I hope they're family. She does an amazing job at really showcasing what the region has to offer with food, locally sourced food. I mean, just Southern high quality food in a fun, unique way. I believe she has a photographic memory. So if you went in and ordered a ribeye and baked potato today and went back 2 years from now, she would remember that and where you sat. It's really an experience, and it's perhaps the cleanest restaurant I've ever been. You can actually eat in the kitchen or just off the kitchen, and we've done that, and it's unbelievably clean. I mean, her standards for service are just really impressive. And it's even more so that you really think most of it is done by her. And the food, I mean, I always focus on the steaks because that's what I like to eat, but they do really good everything. I mean, they have excellent pork tenderloin. I had a ribeye there Saturday, which changed my whole life. I'm a different person than I used to be because of that ribeye. I wouldn't say better, but I'm certainly different. But that is probably one of the top places that I can think of.
I've never heard of them. I have to try that.
There's a Whistle Stop Cafe, I think, in Irwin. That's kind of a sandwich place. This is a separate thing.
Okay,
yeah, it's a completely different thing. So it's Whistle Stop in Tusculum. You can't miss it. Tell her that Mark sent you.
He sat over here and had a ribeye.
And she'll know. Oh, yeah. She was like, I remember that guy. He was terrible.
Well, since we're on the subject of food and drink, what is your favorite? What would be your signature cocktail?
You know, I tell people an old fashioned, but I am so basic. That's not even really true anymore. It's, I like just a scotch and soda, a cheap blended scotch and some soda water. That's really my go-to. It's very refreshing. It also reflects that I'm slowly turning into my grandfather, which I think is very exciting.
That's cool.
Yeah.
When you said old-fashioned, I immediately think Don Draper from Mad Men because I love that show. And
I love an old-fashioned, but I'm really lazy. And sometimes I just want...
It's just too much work.
Yeah, it's a lot. But, you know, if we have guests, that's what I would make for them. And that's what I tell people I drink, but...
You drink it if you're not making it.
Yeah, if someone's going to make me a drink, that's what I'm ordering. Okay. If I'm making my own drink, it's a scotch and soda, which is perhaps the laziest thing in the world to make, because it's literally, and I cannot emphasize this enough, cheap scotch, blended, and soda water.
Good to know.
A lot of ice. Yeah.
A lot of ice, okay.
It's my jam.
That kind of leads, now speaking of Don Draper, who I personally love. I know I shouldn't, but I do. If they were doing a movie of your life, who would play you?
Well, first of all, they should never do that. That would be unbelievably boring. I can't. We could watch paint dry and probably have a better time.
You might do something exciting. This is post-mortem.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm long dead. Safely. I'm in the ground. Yeah. Everybody can calm down about it.
Right.
Okay.
There you go. Then we can smile the great things.
I think he's older than me. Well, I know he's older than me, actually. And I cannot think of his first name, but he is the actor from Bull, the TV show Bull.
I haven't seen it.
Something Weatherly. he looks, I have been told in that show anyway, that we have a very similar energy. I don't know that we necessarily look a lot alike. He's probably in much better shape. I mean, how could he not be? But I think our face structure and like the constant look of confused disappointment.
Yes.
We share that maybe. So I think he could pull that off.
I'm going to have to look that up.
A random woman told me that I reminded her of that guy.
Does he wear suits a lot?
He does, and he has big glasses. And I think he takes them off and goes and like shakes his head and confused. What is happening here?
I have to tell a little story about Mark. Mark wears suits, nice suits every day to work. Like he is.
That's true.
Dressed up all the time. And a couple of months ago,
oh God,
we had a scheduled little field trip to go to Mountain City to Doe Mountain Resort. Is it Doe Mountain Resort? Doe Mountain
Recreation
Center.
Check it out.
It's awesome.
It's amazing. Yeah.
You absolutely should go if you're in the area.
They have a very strict dress code, just so you know.
I wore an evening gown. Mark wore his tuxedo. Not really. So, you're going to get dirty probably. We were riding ATVs. And so, there's going to be some muddy. There had been a little rain. It was a little muddy. Mm-hmm. We were going pretty fast. Mark says he forgot that day that we were going there. And Alicia, a person I work with, who was with us that day, we brought like workout clothes, or there's like gym shorts, T-shirts, tennis shoes. Appropriate attire for this activity. Yeah. Mark rolls in with his full suit, white shirt, dress shoes, and we were like, what are you doing?
In my defense, and I think it's already been established in this interview, I'm quite dumb. So I only do what the agenda or calendar on my phone tells me to do, and I had forgotten to look that morning where we were going to be. So that is my defense. That's all I've got to say.
Well, he went. He didn't, we were like, this is an excuse to get out of this. It was not. He went full attire, walked up the fire tower in his nice shoes, suit. So
there's photographic evidence of this.
There is. He was a real trooper. I tried, when I was driving the ATV, tried to get him muddy, but I was not successful.
Yeah. I was probably one of my proudest moments. There's a really nice photo of me at the top.
Several really great photos of Mark in probably the dressiest anyone's ever been at Doe Mountain. Yeah. I don't know.
It's only happened once and it'll never happen again. No one will ever wear a suit to Kettlefoot Fire Tower, I think is what it's called. Yeah.
Okay, this is our last question. This will be the last question for every guest.
Again, low bar.
What is your personal theme song?
Okay, I have two, and it's because I cannot decide. And when asked that question, I think of what is the song you would play if I were coming out to bat it in a stadium.
Yeah.
So that's my frame of reference. I mean, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't make any sense at all. But one is "Laugh Now, Cry Later" by Drake. I just really like the background of that song.
Okay.
I have no idea what it's about. If it's horribly inappropriate, then someone should tell me. It's a Drake song, so it probably is. And the other is "Sympathy for the Devil," because, I feel like we're all flawed human beings, and that song, maybe that's kind of the story it's telling. We should all take it a little easy on each other. But I think they're also really good songs that if you're a baseball player, to come out to bat on. So
yes, okay.
That's how I think of that question, and that's when I think of a theme song. That's what it's doing.
Did you play baseball?
A little, yeah. I obviously was not very good, so did not keep it going. But I come from a long line of my siblings all played either baseball or softball. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We did not have theme songs. Now they do.
They do.
Oh, yeah.
Your siblings have.
Oh, no. I mean, baseball players
baseball,
now.
yes,
like even high school teams play those.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It's a different time.
Thank you so much, Mark, for being my very first guest.
This was so painless. I would almost volunteer to do this again.
Really?
Almost.
Well, we may have you back. Next crazy thing you do, we'll definitely have you back. Or if you have some more good stories, and I'm sure you will.
Yeah.
We'll have you back. Thank everyone out there for listening to us. We want to remind you again that this was sponsored by Northeast Tennessee Tourism Association, and please go to our website, northeasttennessee.org. There is so much information on there about things to do in our region that you could never even do them all, I don't believe. It is insane how much information's on there. If you have any questions or comments for me, for the podcast, it's Sabrina at northeasttennessee.org. And then Mark, again, your email, or not your email, but your all's website.
Oh, sorry. Okay, it's www.ftdd.org, and that's how you'd find out all the information we talked about today.
Yes, except Mark's crazy stories, but
Yeah.
but all the pertinent information about how to
the
get
real,
assistance.
the good
That's
information.
right.
Yeah,
that's right.
what it is. Yeah.
Thank you all for joining us, and we will talk again soon.